I'm really jealous of Dom and Lee there. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone to hand over to in case the questions get a bit tricky. But I think I've also got quite a bad back as well, so I am incentivised to sort of make this as sort of concise and as sort of accurate as possible. So what I'm going to talk about today is the approach to test data and the approach to data cleansing. Now, we'll start with data cleansing because I think that sort of feeds then into how we're going to approach the data test cuts that we're going to be undertaking as well. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So what I want to give people sort of a good understanding of today is why do we need to cleanse data and what data particularly we can cleanse? What responsibilities will individual parties have? So the sort of end-to-end environments we're talking about here are very complicated. There's a number of participants and systems that are involved, and the data cleansing is going to involve collaboration across a large number of those parties. So I want to sort of cover that, and again, if people have questions, then please put them onto Slido. And then the final part is how and when will participants be taking a data cut testing? And I think the message that we're going to give today is maybe a message that people haven't received before. So again, people have any clarifications that they'd like to ask, please put it onto Slido and we can pick that at the end. So if you go onto the next slide, please. So I think for me the key principle around data cleansing is that it's going to be proportionate. What we're not going to do is trying to solve all of the long-standing industry issues that have been around, for the last 25 years. And I personally remember coming and probably sitting in this exact same room 20 odd years ago and talking about data cleansing and talking about data quality issues. And a lot of those issues are the ones that we're going to be covering today as well. So meter technical details, meter readings, and so on and so forth. We know they're issues that the industry has had challenges with over really the life of the arrangement since '98. And what we're not looking to do as part of the programme is fix every single MPAN or resolve every single sort of old chestnut issue that we have. So we need to take a pragmatic approach, and the aim here is that what we don't want to do via migrating MPANs, via the new arrangements, is result in a situation where we make the existing, we impact consumers in a way that is detrimental to how consumers, receive their service now. So it is going to be pragmatic, and we are going to take an approach that allows us to achieve data cleansing over the next sort of 12 to 18 month period as we move towards M10 and the start of migration. And in terms of the data cleanse plan, the data cleanse plan is in the BSC, so all parties have an obligation to meet the requirements of the data cleanse plan. That's been produced now, and it's currently out for consultation with industry. The consultation will be running for another 5 days. We're then going to hold an assurance review, and ultimately we're looking for the data cleanse plan to be agreed the middle of next month by term. Once that's in place, it will be a living document. So, we don't know, there may be other data quality issues that arise over time. There may be additional activities that we need to do as a result of carrying out the processes that we set down in this particular plan. So it will be a living document, and it may be that we refine it from time to time going forward. But ultimately, we as a programme will be monitoring participants' progress against that plan. So as the LDP function, so as the SI function, we'll be using reports from primarily the Electricity Inquiry Service to monitor each participant's performance against the plan, and also as a health check as an overall sort of industry progress. If we go to the next slide, please. So this just provides a bit more detail about the how we'll set out the plan. But what we'll be aiming to do is set out a clear responsibility for each participant. So the plan in itself is relatively complex. There's probably around 10 individual activities that needs to be undertaken. Each of those, we're identifying which participants are going to be responsible. And we'll also set out how we're going to monitor and measure performance. And then in terms of completion, I've got some illustrative slides to follow this, but what we're not looking to do is ask industry to go out and fix everything as quickly as possible. We've taken a sort of measured approach, and by that I mean that we're looking to undertake a lot of sequential activities that will get us from where we are now through to having a good solid position by M10. So this plan really spans the life of the next sort of 12, 18 months. And what we're not looking to do is sort of overload activities onto participants. We need this data to be right for M10. So following that logic, we're going to take our time and we're going to do this in a sort of practical, proactive way with industry. And I suppose the other element just to pick out is that it's from this month that two quite big industry CPs go live. So R0032 and CP1558 go live this month. A lot of the activities that are set out in the plan are really around how do we populate data that's been delivered by these new changes that are being delivered. So effectively, we're starting this month. We need the industry changes to go live, and then we'll be able to start populating the data. The infrastructure, if you like, is being delivered by those CPs. And there is also another set of initiatives that are going on that we need to be sort of cognizant of. So there's activities that are being undertaken in the unmetered market, for example. So all unmetered M-PANs are moving from non-half hourly to half hourly. And there's also other activity around advanced meters as well, around improving communications and so on and so forth. So, part of our sort of responsibilities within the programme is that we will also be interfacing with the existing code bodies and understanding where those sort of related activities are going and how that impacts our own planning. And as I said, this won't be sort of new to people who attend MWG, because that's where we're discussing the data cleanse activities. But equally, I'm aware that people here won't be attending those working groups. If we can move on to the next slide, please. So what I wanted to do over the next couple of slides is just give people a sort of an illustration of the activities that are going to be undertaken as part of this data cleanse plan. So these slides aren't representative of all the activities that we're undertaking, but I thought there were some sort of reasonable examples to give people a flavour. So as I said previously, CP1558 is going to be implemented in June of this year, and that CP effectively changes the data that's held within the registration service, so within the MPRS service, and it also delivers new interfaces into the service that allows suppliers, MEMs, DNOs to maintain the data that is being delivered as part of those changes. The first element I was to talk through was the association of imports and export M-PANs. So currently within the market, there's no explicit relationship in data between imports and exports M-PANs. A key part of the MHHS design is that these M-PANs will have an explicit relationship with one another that will be represented within the data model, and there'll be a means of maintaining that data going forward. And so that also has some functional impacts in terms of making sure that the same agents are appointed to search the same meters. This data currently doesn't exist, so there will need to be an initiative which is primarily going to be led by LDSOs to populate the data, but equally we've recognised as part of the MWG discussions that LDSOs in many cases, or some cases, may not be able to create those associations operating outside of outside of other participants. So there will be a requirement here on suppliers and ultimately MEMs following the supplier hub principle to assist LDSOs where they can't complete the matching exercise. The other two examples that I've got on this slide were around populating smart meter data. And this is another really key component of the MHS design. Going forward for smart meters, the old legacy meter technical details will no longer be used. So the D150, 149 won't be transferred between MEMs for smart meters once an MPAN is migrated. The data that will be used by participants to communicate with smart meters and understand what type of meters installed will all be held centrally within the registration service. That data currently doesn't exist. And so there's going to be a number of activities that will impact LDSOs, suppliers, and MEMs to populate that data over a period of time. And that's composed of sort of more organic population, so i.e. parties resolve the missing data and then use BAU processes to populate that within the registration service. But we also need to undertake some more traditional migration activities. So one element of that is that currently there's a data item called ENSEID, which is the GUID ID related to the smart meter. That currently only exists within the DCC smart metering inventory. So we need a method of effectively migrating that data from DCC systems into the registration service. So the data cleanse plan, best way to describe it, is probably a combination of traditional data cleansing activities, but it's also a set of population activities that we need to undertake as well. And then you can go onto the next slide, please. And then the other examples I wanted to provide was around connection type. So again, connection type is a really fundamental data item once we move to the new arrangements. The connection type informs the market segment, and the market segment informs which type of agents needs to be appointed for a given MPAN. So the population of this data item is absolutely critical that each MPAN has a populated value within the registration service within MPRS, but two, that value is accurate. Because if it's not accurate, it's going to impact migration, it's going to prevent suppliers being able to appoint the right agents for that MPAN. So this activity, and I've got this on the slide coming up, which shows some of the timescales here. It's going to be quite an involved activity. It's going to be involve LDSOs with the support of suppliers and potentially MEMs. And then the final example is again, it's another migration, traditional migration. This time between the CSS and the MPRS systems. So the MPRS systems need to understand what the domestic premises indicator is. Now that's a data item that's currently set by suppliers when you make a registration. It's held centrally within the CSS. But going forward, the registration service also needs to know whether a premise is domestic or not, because it then informs things like the functionality around consent and so on that's driven out of that service. And I suppose one area that I want to call out here is that this capability isn't going to be delivered as part of the CPs that are going into the future. The registration service will only be able to hold this data once it releases its new version at M10, the new version of the system. So this activity is something that will occur as we cut over to the new arrangements at M10. Whereas the other activities, we've already got the infrastructure, if you like. We just need to populate the data and make sure that the data that's there is correct. So there's there's a difference there that we need to sort of recognise into the plan. And then if we go to the next slide. Again, this is just illustrative. I've just used two examples here. One is the Association of Import-Export MPANs. What we're proposing is that, because it's going to involve a lot of analysis by parties, it's going to involve collaboration between different types of participants, i.e. DNOs and suppliers, potentially MEMs, that we're looking to do this in a proportionate way so that we stagger it over a reasonable period of time. The aim here is that, is that we're ready for M10. The data is all accurate and populated by M10. And to get to that point, we're looking to produce a number of sort of staged activities, each with different owners and each with very sort of precise outcomes. What we won't know is as we go through this, we'll be able to refine the targets that we're placing on participants, and that's why I say the data science plan is essentially going to be more sort of living document. We don't know by the end of stage 1, for example, how many MPANs, DNOs are going to be able to associate using data in their systems, which means that we don't have clarity at the moment on potentially how many MPAN suppliers and MEMs will then be asked to assist in. As that data becomes clear to us through our reporting that we're going to be doing centrally within the programme, then that will allow us to refine these dates if we need to. But that's the key thing for me is that it's going to be programme led this, and we're going to sort of work with participants to make sure that we set a realistic plan in the first place, but then we've got the sort of agility, if you like, to revise it if need be. And then on to the next slide, please. So following on from this, I wanted to just talk through how we're going to approach the test data activities. This is a slide, it's quite a sort of famous MHHS slide now, and Lee's already sort of presented it. And I think Lee's given a sort of indication of how complex the architecture is going to be. And for me, this is one of the sort of the rationales for why, when we're talking about the test data cut and the strategy of using production data, for me, this is one of the primary reasons why we're going to take this approach. We've got a very complex sort of federated set of systems here across multiple suppliers. We've got all the central services and all of the agents. And so a key part of the strategy is that we're going to use production data because we know if you take a data cut at the same point in time, everyone will have a consistent set of data within their own systems. And I think certainly the view that we have, and I think that's been supported by conversations with participants, is that that's going to be a much more effective approach than if we as a sort of industry had to go out and manufacture a huge set of data that wasn't representative of the data that actually exists within people's individual systems. So the aim of the data cut is that when we take it for the various stages that sit, that all participants who were involved in testing take it at a similar point in time, which means that we, the end result then is that we have that consistent data set. If we go to the next slide, please. So these are the sort of key messages we wanted to talk through today. And if clearly people have questions, please put them onto Slido. But the key message, and I think these are the messages that differ from the initial strategy and approach that was discussed between the programme and participants. The driver for that really has been the feedback that we've got from participants, and so we sort of listened to the feedback that we have had, and we've now amended the approach that we're going to be taking in terms of the data bits. So in terms of test data, we're only going to be requesting at this point in time that SIP participants take a backup of their systems. So one of the key pieces of feedback from participants was that people were concerned that if the whole industry has to take a data cut in August, that data would become stale. And I think one of the sort of drivers of that was that rather than data in itself becoming stale, is that people are constantly making updates to their systems and their processes, which changes the theme of their databases and so on and so forth. And one of the key feedbacks was that it will be more problematic for participants, particularly participants who are going to be involved in latter stages of qualification, to take a data cut now and then have to use that data cut and load it into their systems in what could be quite a significant point of time in the future. So the columns that are going to go out on the 19th of August are going to request just SIP participants take a backup of their systems to support testing. And that will then provide a consistent set of data across both CIT and SIT functional. So any participants who aren't going to be involved in those test stages at this point don't need to take a backup of their systems. What we will be doing is communicating out in due course how we're going to support qualification participants and the dates that participants will need to do that. But that's some way off now. That's a communication that's going to come at a later point in time. But equally, we'll be giving people plenty of time to be able to follow on the activities that you need to do once that comms goes out. If we go on to the next slide, please. So I think I probably covered the majority of what these bullet points we're going to cover. But I think for me one of the key questions here is people need to take it back up, and that's what we're asking them to do. What we don't have a view is how people have architectured their own back-end systems and so on and so forth. So what we're not going to do is prescribe the scope of the data backup that people take, but what we will be doing is clarifying the participants who need to send data into the program, and then the data that needs to be sent into the program. Now, current thinking is that potentially it will only be LDSOs that will be required to provide data to us, and only LDSOs who are involved in SIT. That will be clarified when we send the communications out for the backup and the SIT and the SIT test data documents in the near future. And then we can go to the next slide, please. So in terms of the process here, SIT participants will take a backup of their systems on the 19th of August. We will then confirm the precise data that needs to be sent through to us. What we're going to do with that data as a program is we will then use that we'll initially utilise that data to validate that we have enough data to cover all of the test scenarios and all of the SIT participants within the test phases. We will also then need to augment that data. So, sort of going back to the data cleanse plan, when we take this data in August of this year, we won't have all of the data populated with at the industry level. So we won't have import-export associations, we won't have connection type populated, and so on and so forth. So what we will be doing is, from the data that we receive, we'll be augmenting that data with the data that isn't currently populated, so the new MHHS data sets. And we will then, once we've completed that activity, provide that data back to all SIT participants, and that will be done via a secure means that will be set out. And then come on to the next one, please. So in terms of the augmented data, we'll be receiving, participants will receive the first sets to support CIT. Now, to the point that John and Lee addressed previously, CIT is going to be much less reliant on production data. Although we have identified that it will need a level of production data and a level of sort of coordination across industry participants in terms of the data that is populated into the DIP. But that data needs to be less sort of functionally enriched than the data that's then provided for SIT functional. So it's likely that within the programme we'll be augmenting two data sets. We'll be providing a data set for CIT to each participant and a data set to support SIT. And in terms of the additional data, if and as and when it's required, we'll provide that also. So, some of the feedback that Cesar and I've had when we talk to participants, for example, is that participants within their current production data set may not have all of the, or be able to cover all of the test scenarios, for example, maybe a supplier who doesn't have a particularly deep set of unmetered MPANs, or suppliers who don't have the required portfolio of advance that they need to test that. So there will be an element here where we as a programme will augment data, we'll use data that we've received from those sort of central systems for our DSOs, and be able to then provision that back to individual parties to support each of their test scenarios. So that is an element that we will be covering, is that the current state, if you like, of the supplier's production data won't limit them in terms of the testing that they can conduct. And then if we go to the next slide, please. This is really just sort of covering how we're going to then deal with the security elements of using production data. So if we're using production data, clearly we need to make sure that we've got the robust security wrapper to it, as we would if we were using that data in normal operations. So the approach that we're going to take is that Ofgem are currently conducting a DPIA. That DPIA